crowd can sense that they're part of the game. And the crowd was getting up with my gray hairs and no hairs, and all the school children were getting up. They showed knowledge of basketball. And to me, that's what it's about. We just played one of the basketball powers in the nation in both the men and the women's side. And it's good that you play there. Next year, hopefully you'll get to see the game on TV. If not, you'll be able to see the game in person. But this is what top 10 basketball is all about. I'm proud of our fans. I'm proud of our churches for letting them out a little bit early. And it took me to halftime. When we got up 24-20, we got down 24-21. I'd have them back in the timeout and I'd say, girls, unless you press them, unless you play fast and ugly, it'll be a slow death out there. And that's what it was becoming. And then when we got down 15, we started hitting the shots. We were picking into the zone. What we wanted to do was not shoot the 3-ball early. And what did we do? We shot the 3-ball early. And as a result, those are good shooters, but that's exactly what Duke wanted us to do. One and out, and eventually they were getting the offense. Our first shot defense was pretty good, except for Greenwell. Other than that, our first shot defense on everybody else was good the whole night. They were good on the boards. We caught the biggest break of all breaks when Elizabeth Williams, I'm going over there to do my radio, and she's over there with a boot. And I had to ask Kara Consuegra there, I said, Kara, who's over there in that boot? She looked, it's the first time she knew she wasn't going to play either. So when you take an All-American out, a top 3 draft choice out of the lineup, that makes a difference, particularly when you're on the road. If that would have happened at home, Duke probably could have overcome it because that's what a home court advantage can do for you. But I told our kids to quit trying to play All-Americans. Play for Texas A&M, play for the jersey, play with that passion. If you're a top 10 team and you're at home against another top 10 team, you're supposed to win. You find a way. And we hunt and pecked. Our transition in the second half was outstanding. We started hitting a few mid-range shots. The shot by Jordan Jones, I think knocked it to 4. That little running, little leaner was huge. The pass Courtney Williams made to Jada. That might have been the first or second basket we scored the whole night, except I think we got one with Rachel and Kyla at the 5. But folks, it was just a great win. I'm worn out. I'm ready to go home, and man, the Cowboys aren't going to lose today. They're not playing, thank heavens. But they're freshmen, Greenwell. We tightened up a little. Her catch and shoot ability is what every kid should learn how to do. That's the most untaught skill in basketball, is being able to catch and shoot like a Reggie Miller or some of the great ones out there. Give her a lot of credit. She's going to be an All-American someday. Their point guard did a good job, but her shooting percentage wasn't too good. That's because Jones was on her. How about Jordan Jones and that pressure against that wide of a zone? 8 assists, no turnovers, and if we would have finished a few other shots, it would have been about 12-0. So Jordan Jones, regardless of the score, was the most valuable player in that game because she set the tempo on the defensive pressure, either on the half court, on the full court. Remember when she ran out of bounds early in the second half and just ran over their bench and threw it back over her head? Not one of our players on the floor even moved in case she would have got it in bounds. I ripped them at that timeout. I said, if somebody's flying doing that much, you better be able to go over there in case she does save it, because that's one of those hustle plays that would ignite our team. And then from then on, we played like Texas A&M. Questions?
Coach, you've been scheduling tough non-conference matchups for years now. How does it feel to finally finish it and get the win in front of your home crowd?
Besides losing to Connecticut in non-conference, there hadn't been too many non-conference games I've lost here at home. period.
Well, just with your tough November to December schedule, typically, how good does it feel to start this one with a win?
We're a team, we're not rebuilding, we're not reloading, we're just trying to get better right now. I told our kids the first key on the ball game, this game, win or lose, is not going to define our season. It's going to define November. We're 7-0. Now we have a chance to get better. But there's so many things that we've got to do to get better. We're not going to place too many teams in the SEC besides South Carolina that is as long and as large as Duke. And I'm just happy that we just don't give up. Okay? They take tough love and they take hard coaching. And that's what I was heading to do. That one time I broke my $200 cufflink right there when they got Walker right across the wrist. And my cufflink goes flying out there, so that's why there's sleeves out there. And I told the referee, I said, I'll bet you a cold beer when you look at the film. She went right across the wrist, and he laughed. And he said, maybe, maybe not. But that's part of it. When you can joke with the officials and realize that was a tough game to call, and I thought they did a commendable job under this type of pressure and national TV.
Why did your team not panic when they were down 15? It was just, 11 minutes ago?
I think a lot of it, we went through that at DePaul. We went through that almost losing the Pan American. We went through it with New Mexico. When you've got the guard play, you don't panic when you got Jordan and the two CWs out there. Okay, about like when you had Colson and Tyra White and Sidney Carter. Back when you had Aqua and TK and Morenike. You don't panic. I recruit kids that can handle pressure. I recruit kids from good programs that know what winning's all about. And we develop our post players. When we recruit guards, we expect them to be ready when they get here. And so far, that's been a good formula. We don't panic because, Olin, your hair isn't gray yet. Okay? Your hair isn't gray yet. But each one of those little gray hairs has probably been from an experience that I've learned how to handle or not handle. Okay? There's been a lot of failure here too. But each situation, sometimes the game is played before you get to the court. Sometimes on the practice court. Sometimes with the drama of handling 18 to 22-year-olds. And I don't think your kids are old enough for you to know what teenagers are all about, but let me tell you, it's not a walk in the park sometimes.
Gary, you have a veteran team though, and you talked about selling from three. You get off to the poor start without them not having an All-American. How do you explain that?
Shooting the three ball.
Shooting three ball.
We did not want to do it. We knew they were going to play a 3-2 zone. We thought it would be a tandem I formation 2-3, but it was just straight 2-3. And we ran about 4 or 5 different gimmick things, and I just said, once you go through it, your offense, forget about it, penetrate, look for the mid-range shot, or find an open shooter. Okay? It's not X's and O's. Sometimes it's the P, the players, just the person. And so all my zone stuff, it looks good on paper, it looks good on practice, but sometimes when you run into it against those arms that stretch from here to North Carolina, it doesn't work. And I kept telling them we could drive the baseline all day on them, which we did in the first half, and then all of a sudden we quit doing it. We started settling. And a lot of times the offense seems to work better when they're down on my end, when you have a large crowd that can hear them. And so I have a little bit more control of that play.
You feel you wore them down a little bit with them not having Williams there?
Yeah, I think we wore them down because Jordan put a lot of pressure on their point guard. I mean, she's good, but still 4 turnovers, 4 points, 33 minutes. That's their All-American. They got a bunch of them on there. But we've got some kids that they just play hard. When we're on, this is how we play. I remember back on TV a few nights ago when all of a sudden Stanford was playing Connecticut and Baylor was playing Kentucky. I walked in the next day and, oh, did you see Stanford's offense? Did you see Connecticut's motion? That's not us. We can't do that. But we can sure do what Baylor and Kentucky can. That's who we are. And it's been good enough for Baylor, it's good enough for Kentucky. Be who you are. And that's what we do well.
You know how I like to stir the pot, so.
Yes, you do. Let me have a drink of water before you get going. Okay.
Coach McCallie described it as an extremely physical game. She said it twice, and then she said, we just played a game where we got run over and it wasn't a foul. So she was kind of describing what she thinks are inconsistencies from game to game in officiating. Your response?
That's what the road does. That's what the road does. Okay, and that's what a crowd will do. I mean, I was working the officials pretty hard too. Okay? And so, a coach has a right to vent, and the other coach does not have the right to build on that coach's vent. I'll tell you how I felt. It was a hard game to officiate, and both coaches were working it. Hey, those referees call them both leagues. Okay? Those were, two of the three have been Final Four officials. They call them both leagues. So when we go to Duke next year, we will have a split crew, the ones that call in the ACC and the SEC. Might even be the same ones. But sometimes, let's just give us credit for what we did. We went after the ball. We made things happen. But I am not going to comment on her venting or praising or whatever. That's her job. My job is to tell you what we did. And so I'm sure I'm not going to give you something you can run with. I'm just going to give you it's just what we do.
Well, Coach, did you think that it was any more or less physical than most games, the average
No.
game you play? Because the SEC does pride itself in being a fairly physical league, I think.
Yeah, it does. Is that bad?
No, I'm not saying it is.
Yeah, it's physical. We tried going up, when I was at Arkansas for 10 years, we were like the 98-pound weakling on the beach going against those kids. And we were not very fit. We were a finesse team, like a Vanderbilt was. But you found a way, Vanderbilt found a way by not being physical. We did at Arkansas. We went to the Final Four. I beat Duke in 98 to get to the Final Four with a Cinderella team that was not very physical. We're going to play hard and we're going to adjust to the officiating. They got Jordan on the very first time on she's got to realize that's Bev Roberts, one of the best in the game. 2 touches, it's a foul. Jordan adjusted. Okay? And other than that, you better go meet some of those passes if you're on the defensive team and they won't get knocked away. Our goal was to keep our turnovers under 15. We kept them to 9. And only 2 in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you look, we shot 48% in the second half. Because of jumpers? No, because of attack, because of steals and conversions. And look at the free throw line, 76%. Look at theirs, second half, 25, 14, and 77. 25% has nothing to do with physicality. And 14 from the 3 has nothing to do with physicality. The ball goes in or it doesn't go in.
Coach, you talked about tightening up your defense at the half, and it was very successful in shutting down that 3-point attack. But on your offense, it also looked to me like there was not, in the first half, a great deal of movement on offense apart from the actual ball handler. And there seemed to be much more engagement of all 5 players in the second half. Was that a conscious adjustment as well?
We want to attack off of the dribble. I was hoping they'd play us man, but that wasn't going to happen. I want to attack off the dribble even against the zone. What's open against that type of zone is the high post. If you notice the first 2 shots that Courtney Williams missed in the second half, wide open, she short-armed them and missed them. I said, keep going, because that's where the middle of the zone is usually open, or the baseline of the zone. And Other than that, it was tough. With 14 out there playing the top of that thing, she was just tough to get around. And it's November, okay? They have to go from here to Nebraska to play, and probably 8,000-10,000 be there. Okay, it's gonna make their team better. Hopefully Williams will be ready to go when they play Nebraska. But look at the teams that are losing right now. They're all playing on these island trips, and everybody's not ready, and there's just a lot of teams. Stanford's already lost 2 games since they've been number 1. Are we number 5, 6, 7 in the country? Probably not, but who the hell is? So have we earned it from the consistency in our program over the years? Yes. Duke has earned it. Look how many freshmen they're playing. And those freshmen are going to be very good. The rivalry, I commend Duke, and I told Joanne before the game, there's a lot of teams who will not play us. Okay, and we cannot get the right home and homes. Duke will play us. Now, over my tenure, I'm 4-3 with them now. 1-2 at Arkansas, great games. 1-1 at County, got us to the Final Four. Now we're 3-1 here. Lost to them last year, they're placed by 3. After we had a wide open shot and didn't hit it by Daniel Adams. So we're gonna go in there next year. Best thing about going there next year, Williams will be playing in Europe or somewhere in the WNBA, but they'll have other All-Americans. It's just a great rivalry. I love playing Duke.
Coach, your philosophy on scheduling seems to be different from many coaches, because there are perennially premier programs that tend to schedule a powder puff schedule at this time of year, as though that's supposed to build confidence. You consistently this year, but I remember being here a few years back, and you just had 3 in a row ranked teams.
That was tough.
Why do you do that, and how does it affect the team that you have come March?
February and March, I want to be at our best. We've been able to stay healthy over the years, predominantly. Okay, there's a good chance we might be redshirting a kid after this ball game today because of injury. We keep them healthy. We, tell you the truth, I've got enough W's. Our teams have had enough. I get up for the coaches. I really get up for the coaches. I get up for the name. The first time when I was at Louisiana Tech and I went and played at Pauley Brigade, and John Wooten was walking behind the thing in our practice. Me and Coach Barmore just went bananas. Like, look, hey, it's John. I mean, I get up for that. I played at Duke now twice. Well, actually 3 times, because the first time I beat Mulkey and then I lost Duke in the next game. I get up for all of that. Madison Square Garden, I've played in it now 4 or 5 times. It's the mecca of basketball. People understand the game. I admire Duke and their fans and what they built. It's not just a men's program. The women's program is at the highest level in all the other sports. But isn't it great what women's athletics has just done this weekend? So we lost a football game, okay? We just won 2 volleyball games on the road. We just going to the Final Four in soccer, and we just beat off number 7 in the country right now. But the headlines tomorrow morning, we'll have our story, but it'll be what bowl we going to, whatever. Let's give credit sometimes to women's athletics nationwide for what we're doing. We're putting butts. Do you see how many of those kids come down on the floor? Y'all were still all in here. We stay out there for 15 minutes signing autographs. Can you picture that happening at a men's basketball game? Okay, they're back to their locker room and their entourage and everything. We want to be accessible. That's how you grow your crowds. And I'm so appreciative of all the high school kids and everything that was here. And hey, you had a lot of top recruits watching on TV and in the house. That doesn't hurt at all. That's why you do not play the cream puffs. So I might have had some kids in here really, Duke is their dream school. It might be A&M by the time they get ready for signing dates. So sometimes you never know.
All right, Coach, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Good to see you Houston boys down here.